This is from Marisol in El Salvador. I think the hardest part is realizing how quickly life can split in two. Before that day, I was just a teenager thinking about school, friends, and weekend plans. After that day, everything I thought was certain about my life was suddenly gone, and I couldn't go back. It happened so fast. I wasn't involved in anything, but when gangs clashed in my neighborhood, I was caught in the middle. A single moment of violence left me on the ground, my body no longer responding. I didn't even understand what had just happened. Doctors later told me the damage was permanent. At just 14, I had been paralyzed in that attack. I spent weeks in a coma, and when I finally opened my eyes, I realized life as I knew it would never be the same again. I avoided mirrors for weeks. I didn't want to see myself in the chair, with tubes and machines around me. It was easier to stare at the ceiling and pretend I was still the same person. But deep down, I knew I was different now. Pretending didn't stop the reality from closing in on me. Family members visited, bringing soft words and prayers, but their eyes showed what they couldn't say. Pity, fear, sadness, it was all written there. I wanted to scream at them, "Don't look at me like I'm broken." But instead, I kept quiet, because I didn't want to add my anger to their grief. Silence felt safer. The hardest part wasn't just the chair, it was the world outside of it. Sidewalks cracked and uneven, buses with no way to enter, schools with endless stairs. Every day, I faced reminders that my country wasn't built for me anymore. Strangers stared as if I was an exhibit, not a person simply trying to live. I replayed memories in my head. Running barefoot in the yard, walking with my friends after school, joking about silly things, even standing in front of the mirror brushing my hair without effort. Each memory felt like it belonged to a different person. Was that girl still me, or had she disappeared forever? School became another battle. Teachers acted like my chair also limited my mind, as if I couldn't keep up anymore. Accessibility didn't exist. No ramps, no resources. I had to rely on others just to enter the building. Every day, the message felt louder. Maybe this world wasn't expecting me to continue my education. Inside, I argued with myself. One part wanted to disappear, to stop fighting, to accept the life others imagined for me. Quiet, dependent, limited. The other part whispered that maybe there was still a way forward, even if I had no map. Choosing between surrender and defiance was exhausting, and I felt trapped in between. Then something shifted. I started noticing that the real problem wasn't only my body. It was the barriers built into every street, every classroom, every door. If the world wasn't made for me, maybe I wasn't the one who needed to change. Maybe the system itself was broken, and someone had to call it out. I started reading about the law almost by accident. At first, it was just out of curiosity, flipping through a borrowed book. But the more I read, the more I realized every barrier in my life wasn't just bad luck. It was the result of choices. Choices that could be challenged, rewritten, or improved. Speaking up was terrifying. My first time in front of a group, my hands shook even though I was in a chair. My voice cracked. But I told them what it felt like to be invisible in your own city. I thought they'd laugh or dismiss me, but instead, a few people nodded with real understanding. Not everyone was supportive. Some said I was too young, too fragile, that I should just focus on surviving, not changing anything. Those words cut deep. For a while, I wondered if they were right. Maybe I was pushing too hard, but something inside me refused to let go. The first time I actually helped someone else, I felt a shift. It wasn't huge, just helping another person in a chair get their paperwork approved after weeks of being ignored. But seeing their relief, realizing my voice mattered even a little, made me believe I wasn't powerless anymore. Fact break time. In El Salvador, thousands of people live with disabilities, but most public spaces remain inaccessible. Schools lack resources, and jobs often shut their doors. These aren't individual failures. They're systemic barriers that keep people like me from fully participating in everyday life. Globally, about 1 in 6 people live with a disability. In many developing countries, only 20 to 30% of children with disabilities attend school. Even in wealthier nations, barriers remain. In the UK, 1 in 3 disabled people avoid public places due to inaccessibility. The struggle is worldwide. Anyway, recognition didn't happen overnight. It started with small meetings, then community groups inviting me to speak. Each time, I felt the fear, but I pushed through it. The more I spoke, the more people began to listen. For once, I wasn't just surviving, I was leading. But success on the outside didn't erase the battles inside. I'd finish a meeting, smiling and confident in front of others, then go home and cry. I missed the girl who never thought twice about walking to the store. I missed feeling normal. Public victories couldn't erase private grief. Still, there were moments that kept me going. Like the first time I rolled into a government building and didn't have to fight for access. Someone had listened, and a ramp was there. It wasn't perfect, but it was proof that change was possible. Knowing I wasn't alone, not just in El Salvador but globally, gave me strength. My story wasn't an isolated tragedy. It was part of a larger fight for dignity and visibility. Realizing that made me want to push harder, not just for myself, but for everyone facing the same walls. As my voice grew louder, so did the responsibility. I wasn't just speaking for myself anymore. I was carrying the weight of others who didn't yet have the chance to be heard. That thought scared me, but it also pushed me to keep going. Some days I still felt like that 14-year-old girl lying in a hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, unsure if life was worth fighting for. Those memories never left me. They reminded me that my strength wasn't born from choice, but from necessity. I began mentoring younger people with disabilities, teenagers who were going through what I once did. I saw my reflection in their doubts and fears. When they told me they couldn't imagine a future, I understood. And that's when I told them, you do have one. It's strange how the chair that once felt like a prison has become part of my identity. It doesn't define me, but it reminds me of where I've been. I don't see weakness anymore. I see survival, adaptation, and even a kind of strength. But I won't lie, the pain never fully goes away. I still grieve the version of myself that never had to think about accessibility, that never had to feel different. Public victories can't erase that private loss, and maybe they never will. One of the proudest moments of my life was rolling into a government office to present a proposal. 10 years earlier, I couldn't have even entered the building without help. This time, I entered as an equal, speaking face to face with those who once overlooked people like me. I thought about the day of the shooting, the randomness of it, the way violence took away so much without warning. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever be able to forgive the people who caused it. Maybe forgiveness is still too far away. But maybe forgiveness isn't the point. Maybe the real victory is that I'm here, still fighting, still visible, and still building something better for those who come after me. That feels more powerful than holding on to bitterness. I've learned that resilience doesn't mean never breaking down. It means breaking down and standing up anyway, even if it looks different than before. My strength isn't about walking again. It's about moving forward in whatever way I can. I hope my story shows that disability isn't the end of a life. It's the start of a different one. And yes, it's harder, but it can still be full of meaning. No one chooses these battles, but we can choose what we make of them. If you've listened this far, thank you. Maybe you faced something that made you feel invisible too. If this story spoke to you, share your thoughts in the comments. Your words might matter more than you think. And if you'd like more stories like this, please consider subscribing.